Talofa lava malo elelei kia orana. I'm well. Good to be with you this morning.
Thank you for your time this morning. Let's start with your portfolios as spokesperson for transport for Labour Party. Public transport is a lifetime for many communities. What's Labour vision for improving access and affordability, especially for Pacifica and regional areas?
Yes, well, you're right. Public transport is a lifeline for many communities, in particular for our Pacific community all around the country, and obviously in Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland, where a lot of our community rely on strong public transport that's reliable. The sad reality, of course, is that the current government have cut funding to public transport. When we were in government, we had, accessible fare opportunities and really supporting people to get around their communities.
Right.
And so I've been, holding the government to account around the lack of funding that they've directed for public transport, because it soon adds up, and particularly at the moment where people go to the supermarket,
Right.
go to the dairy,
Yeah.
you see it's very expensive.
Yeah.
The government needs to be supporting communities to make public transport much more accessible.
Okay, Tangi, with rising fuel costs and congestion, what role do you see electric vehicles and alternative transport playing in New Zealand's future?
Yeah, well, I mean, the future is obviously, really important to be looking at how we can do what we can to meet our climate change goals, and the lower emissions that we have for our communities, then that's really, really good. But of course, cars are very expensive, and you want to go and buy a new EV or a used EV, it can be quite pricey.
Right.
We had, a support to help people to do that. The current government are not really interested in this particular space. Actually, they have a law that's currently before the Parliament that might be debated today to try and change some of those clean car standards. So it is an important area, but we need to be making sure that people can move around the community.
How does Labour plan to balance infrastructure development with environmental sustainability in transport, Tangi?
Yeah, well, that environmental sustainability is about what you've talked about the EVs. It's also about public transport. It's about active transport, so encouraging people to be able to walk around the place, but also to use bikes and all of those sorts of things. So it is a bit of a balance. What I'd like to see is the government put more of its money into those balanced areas rather than just throwing everything into new roads all around the country. And roads are important, but the government needs to be looking at having a balanced approach, which is very, very important for our Pacifica community as well.
Thank you, Tangi. A few questions for you as spokesperson for local government. You served as deputy mayor and councillor. How does that shape your approach to local government policy?
Well, local government is very important because it's about communities having their say. And, we've got local council elections coming up very, very soon. And as people travel all around the place, you'll see signs, you'll hear about that happening. And I want to acknowledge all of those good people who are putting up their hand to run for local community opportunities there. But for me, as the local government spokesperson for Labour, my background as a decade or 10 years on the Palmerston North City Council has informed, how really important local communities and councils are. That's important as well.
Okay. Tangi, many councils are struggling with funding and service delivery. What reforms would Labour consider to strengthen local governance?
Well, concern I have at the moment is that the government are basically asking or telling local councils to do a whole pile of stuff, but they're not giving them the finances, the tools, the money, the opportunities to be able to do that. So they are constraining councils. So I think for us, it's about ensuring that, there is a really strong link and partnership between local councils and the government. At the moment, this is a government that likes to kind of, say horrible things about councils and what they're doing. I know that councils work extremely hard, but it is a balancing act at the end of the day.
Okay, how can local governments better reflect and serve multicultural communities, including Pacific people?
Well, I think fundamentally it's about ensuring that people who are making the decisions also come from those diverse communities. We need to have Pacifica people around the council table, around those local board tables to be making decisions, because they are the people that have their finger on the pulse. And so making sure that, we can have good diversity when it comes to strong local decision making is really, really important. and that's what we all need to be encouraging. And that's why we all need to vote.
Yes.
We all need to get out and vote as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Tangi, for that. My co-host would like to ask you a question, please, Natasha.
Kia ora. With the low participation and candidate shortages are threatening civic democracy ahead of the 2025 local elections, what reforms would you support to boost the engagement, whether postal versus in-person voting, electoral commission-led elections, or other innovations?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because there's a lot of work that's been done around thinking about how we can turn the tide and improve voter turnout. We had a piece of work called The Future for Local Government. Unfortunately, the current government just shafted all of that work. Local Government New Zealand have done a piece of work looking at things like lowering the voting age, in-person voting opportunities, like you say, perhaps having the Electoral Commission run those sorts of things, whether it's around looking at a 4-year term for councils to give some certainty, particularly if the Parliament is heading towards a 4-year term. So these are the sort of things that we need to be having conversation about and discussing with our community. It's really important that we encourage communities to stand for public office. We see a lot of publicity at the moment about how difficult that can be because of some of the terrible stuff that people have to deal with from communities on social media and the like. So we need to make sure that we're working with communities to see what suits them, but also to be encouraging people to be able to put their hand up and stand for public office.
Excellent. Thank you, Tangi. Let's look at yourself as spokesperson for small business. Access to finance and digital tools is a challenge for many small operators, Tangi. What initiatives would Labour champion to close that gap?
Yeah, well, small businesses make up a huge percentage of small, medium, large businesses across the country, and a lot of them are in Tamaki Makaurau. And so as we move into the future, things like digitisation is really, really important. There's a bill just in the Parliament at the moment about, digitisation of driver's licence, those sorts of things. So we need to be looking at ways in which we can support small businesses who really are the backbone of New Zealand businesses in terms of getting work done. Small businesses are family operations often, to see how we can meet their needs and support them, particularly when the costs are so high at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. Tangi, thank you so much for your time this morning. Before I let you go, what message do you have for our young Pacific people who want to enter politics or public service?
Look, I think it's a really clear one, and that's, first of all, give it a go.
Yeah.
You have to put your hand up for these sorts of things. We've just had a fantastic youth parliament here in the last couple of months, seen a huge number of Pasifika people involved in that, young people. Get involved in politics, get involved in your community, give things a go. Because, look, if you don't take these opportunities when they come your way, who knows what might have happened.
Yeah. Tangi, once again, thank you so much for your time this morning. Have a great day, sir.
Whaitele lava, kia manuia.
Whaitele lava, malo apito. Ole sunga le so upo le Labour Party, more buying on transport, local government and small business. Tangi Utikere, le tautua mo le Samoa Sfalima, Eva Tolu Amor and Taeao.